Linux has long been viewed as the underdog in the gaming world, often overshadowed by Windows due to its dominant market share and the widespread support of software on Microsoft's operating system. For many years, gamers have primarily relied on Windows for so many of their gaming experiences, not only because of its compatibility with a wide range of games, but also because of its deep integration with the gaming industry, especially in terms of developer support. However, in recent years, Linux has undergone a significant transformation, emerging as a powerful contender in the gaming space. Once dismissed by many as a niche operating system, Linux is now positioned to challenge the status quo in ways that were once unimaginable. With Valve's increasing support for the platform, the success of the Steam Deck, and the rise of Linux-based gaming handhelds, it's becoming increasingly clear that Linux is not only a viable alternative to Windows, but potentially the future of gaming itself. To understand how Linux reached its current position in gaming, it's important to look at the origins of the operating system itself. Linux was created in 1991 by Finnish programmer Linus Torvalds as a free and open-source operating system kernel. Its development was initially focused on providing a stable, secure, and flexible alternative to proprietary operating systems like MS-DOS by our friends Microsoft.
I'll cheat a little bit.
Yeah! Making it an appealing choice for developers and tech enthusiasts who just want a little more wiggle room. While Linux quickly gained traction among developers, system administrators, and security professionals, gaming was never a primary focus. In the early days of Linux, the operating system had several limitations that made it less appealing for gamers. The platform lacked the same level of backing from game developers and publishers that Windows enjoyed. Many of the most popular titles were either unavailable for Linux or had poor performance. Additionally, Linux's fragmented nature with many different distributions, also known as distros, created a lack of standardization that further discouraged game developers from supporting the platform. For many years, Linux gaming was confined to open source titles, which, while often innovative and enjoyable, were limited in scope compared to the massive library of games available for Windows. Independent developers occasionally released Linux ports of their games, but the lack of robust commercial game support kept Linux gaming on the fringes. The dominance of Windows, with its seamless integration of DirectX, a proprietary graphics API, further cemented the notion that Linux was not a serious contender in the gaming world. The first major breakthrough for Linux gaming came in the form of Wine, a compatibility layer designed to allow Windows applications to run on Linux. Wine wasn't perfect, performance and compatibility issues were common, but it was a game changer in that it allowed Linux users to run many Windows applications. While Wine opened the door for gaming on Linux, it wasn't the end of the story. In 2018, Valve introduced Proton, an enhanced compatibility layer built on Wine. Proton took Wine's functionality to the next level by incorporating a number of performance improvements and optimizations, including DXVK, a tool that translates DirectX calls into Vulkan.
Vulkan is a low-level, low-overhead cross-platform API and open standard for 3D graphics and computing.
Proton's integration of these enhancements resulted in a significant increase in the number of games that could be played on Linux. Many games that previously wouldn't run on Linux without extensive modifications can now be played with little to no additional developer effort. The release of Proton was a game changer for Linux gaming, as it meant that a massive library of Windows-based titles were now accessible to Linux users. The real turning point for Linux gaming, however, came in 2013, when Valve made a bold decision to enter the Linux space fully. Now, I probably don't need to tell most of you who Valve is, but just in case you need to be caught up to speed, they're the company behind Steam, the incredibly popular PC gaming platform, and they introduced SteamOS, a Linux-based operating system designed specifically for gaming. While SteamOS itself didn't make a huge splash initially, it signaled Valve's commitment to the idea of a Linux-based gaming ecosystem, and because they probably wanted to get away from Windows. The development of SteamOS laid the groundwork for future efforts and innovations. The true breakthrough came in 2022, with the release of the Steam Deck. And again, I'll reiterate for those who don't know, the Steam Deck is a handheld gaming device powered by Linux, and it's running a modified version of SteamOS. Unlike previous attempts to create Linux-powered gaming consoles, the Steam Deck delivers a seamless, console-like experience that resonated with both casual and hardcore gamers alike. The decision to use Linux instead of Windows for the Steam Deck was a bold and risky move, but it proved to be incredibly successful. The Steam Deck's performance, battery life, and portability are all revolved around Linux. At this point, Proton, Valve's compatibility tool that I mentioned earlier, was fully expanded to support much more games on the system. Most games people played, as long as they didn't rely on anti-cheat or other kernel-level security things, would basically almost work out of the box. Now, there were some issues with some videos popping up with like error signals and stuff like that, but that quickly got patched. This marked a major milestone in the ongoing journey of Linux and gaming, proving that the operating system could provide a high-quality, mainstream gaming experience that was only seen on consoles and Windows up till now. Now, while Windows has long been the default choice for gaming, Linux offers several advantages that make it a more optimized platform for many users. Now, I myself have only been using Windows up until the Steam Deck's release, but I am so confident in Linux's ability to take over as the main gaming platform. We just need some games to add compatibility, like Call of Duty, Fortnite, and some other stuff like that using easy anti-cheat. Which, by the way, Valve has made clear that it's easy to do and they're willing to do it, it's just companies don't seem to be willing to go through with it. Alright, so why Linux is better? Plain and simple, better performance and efficiency. Linux is a leaner operating system compared to Windows. I don't think I need to tell you this, but if you have the latest version of Windows, you're probably getting pop-ups like, oh, why the Copilot? Oh, dude, do you want us to make you a picture with AI? Now, Linux doesn't come with all this bloatware and bells and whistles, and as a result, Linux tends to run more efficiently and is able to allocate resources more effectively to games. Now, many people have reported improved performance in some games, with lower input latency and better frame timing on Linux systems compared to Windows, even on mid-range to lower-end hardware. As I already mentioned before, one of the most frustrating aspects of gaming on Windows is dealing with all its bells and whistles and bloatware and forced updates. I don't think I need to go over this. I think you know already. When you restart, your computer will update to the newest version of Windows. Frequently installs updates without user consent, sometimes interrupting gameplay and in some cases introducing new issues. Linux, on the other hand, allows users complete control over when and how updates are installed. Linux, by contrast, once again, offers a high level of customization, allowing users to install only what they need. In fact, a curated discovery store exists on SteamOS itself, so you can get important apps that you might need, like photo editing, video editing, VLC, and a lot of other stuff. Now, security and stability is a big one. Linux is inherently more secure than Windows, and it's not because they have built-in virus protection. No, not really. Windows, for the longest time, has been a target for malware, viruses, and other types of malicious software, and that's because Windows' user base is a lot more bigger than Linux. But due to Linux being a completely different architecture and operating system itself, it makes it a much safer place for gaming and everything in general. In addition to security, Linux is just known for its general stability all around. Now, obviously, if you're trying to build your own operating system using Arch, you're more likely to have a tough time if you don't know what you're doing. But a more polished distro like Mint or SteamOS is more likely to give you everything you need right out of the box without you having to tinker with everything. Another advantage of Linux is its open source nature. Unlike Windows, which is closed source and restricts users from modifying the operating system, Linux provides full control over every aspect of the system and won't ask you for admin permissions when you're trying to delete a folder on your desktop. Now, as Linux gaming gains traction, hardware manufacturers are starting to recognize the potential of Linux-based gaming devices. The success of the Steam Deck has inspired other companies to experiment with Linux-powered handheld gaming PCs. In addition to handheld gaming PCs, more and more companies are offering pre-built Linux gaming desktops and laptops. System76, for example, has built a reputation for offering high-performance gaming PCs and laptops that come pre-installed with Linux. These devices are optimized for performance and provide a hassle-free experience for users who want to switch to Linux without the complexity of installing a Linux distribution themselves. Major game developers are also taking note of the growing Linux gaming ecosystem. A lot of companies like Sega and Square Square Enix will launch videos showing that new Final Fantasy releases or Yakuza releases are coming verified to the Steam Deck, and this is because Proton are making it easier for developers to ensure their games run smoothly on Linux without needing to devote significant resources to porting games to the platform. Looking ahead, there's growing speculation about the future of Linux gaming. Valve's success with the Steam Deck has sparked discussions about the company's potential plans for a dedicated home gaming console running a version of SteamOS. Some industry experts believe that Valve could build on the lessons learned from the Steam Deck to launch a Steam console that would serve as a true alternative to traditional Windows gaming PCs. Beyond Valve, other companies may follow suit too, creating their own Linux-powered gaming hardware. The Linux gaming revolution is no longer a distant dream. It's happening right now. With Valve's continued support for the platform, the success of Proton, and the increasing popularity of Linux-powered gaming hardware, it's clear that Linux is becoming a mainstream gaming platform. While Windows may still dominate the market, the future is increasingly pointing toward a more open, optimized, and gamer-friendly operating system, one that puts power back into the hands of the players. As Linux continues to evolve and more developers recognize its potential, we may soon reach a tipping point where Linux becomes the preferred platform for gaming. The era of Linux gaming is just beginning, and the best is yet to come.